day. So stop your waiting.
Well, hello and welcome to podcast number 80, the First Alert Weather podcast number 80. We're glad you could join us today, either in the video version or maybe on the audio version. I want to thank Katie Zuniga for being here. Katie, how are you?
Good morning. Want another cup of coffee?
One more cup. And Camila Ortiz, how are you?
Hello, good. I've got my coffee right here, so waking up.
Yeah.
Funny you bring that up because I was just reading last night. This is non-weather related, but it is related to our job. I was just reading that I am a lark and some people
What?
are owls. Do you know what I'm talking about? You have no idea what I'm talking about, right?
No.
A lark and an owl.
Chronotypes, like what kind of a sleeping person are you? Now I know it's getting kind of personal. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going way out there. But like, are you a person that when you wake up in the morning, you're just once you wake up, you're ready to go. You have all the energy in the morning. Because I realized, wait, I'm one of those people. I kind of knew that, but
yeah.
I am definitely a morning person. Once I'm up, it's happening. That's assuming I got enough sleep.
And
But
that's called a lark.
That's called a lark because I guess a lark starts singing before sunrise.
Oh.
Yet some people, I know my wife is this way, she would be an owl, which I think, we've heard the phrase night owl or owl, which is somebody that functions best in the afternoon and evening,
Yes.
where during that time, people like me, a lark, would be like, I'm usually by late afternoon, I'm like, I'm kind of done for the day. And evening, if I didn't work this shift, I can tell I would be a person that goes to bed at 9 or 10 p.m. and I'd be getting up at 6 or 7 a.m. So I realized my shift doesn't match what I am, what my truth is sleeping wise. And as I get older, I can't sleep in. People think and my wife thinks this is the weirdest thing. I cannot sleep in past 9. I try. If I go to bed at 1:30 or 2 a.m., I still can't go past about 9 a.m. So
Yeah.
as I get older, it's more noticeable. So you guys think you're a lark or an owl?
I am mostly an owl, but when I have something to do, like if that day has something going on, then I'm a lark. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I have
Sure.
to get, I have to get my kids to school, or I have to go down to see somebody and I need to breakfast with a person. Like I'll get up and I'll get going. But like a day like today, my natural state is an owl.
Yeah.
Basically, Katie has a lot of energy. What about you?
Oh, I
Camila?
do.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely an
do.
owl. Like it takes me a full probably 2 hours to fully
Really?
feel like my brain is like with it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, you two
When I
work
had
the
my
right
first-
shift, and I work the
Yeah.
wrong shift, apparently.
Yeah.
But I work both shifts. So how does that work? When I first got like my first real like adult job, I had to be at work at 8:00 in the morning, and we had an office meeting before we started the day. And there was somebody there who didn't know me very well, and she thought that I didn't like her because I would literally get up at 7:50. Took me 5 minutes to get to work, so I would roll in 5 minutes till, put my stuff down, and then go sit at the table in the meeting room. And I wouldn't talk. I would just be waking up.
Wait.
What? I
I
know
know.
no such thing. Have
I would
never
just
seen
be
that
sitting
happen.
there. It's because you see me in the afternoon after I've had time to wake up.
Yeah.
And
makes
then
sense.
later she would see me be me around the office, and she thought for years that I didn't like her because that's the only
Aw.
time we
That's
saw
funny.
each other.
That's a
and I
sad
was
story.
so quiet. So when we finally, I was like, oh no, I'm not a morning person.
All right. Well, now that we've established the important facts, let's get to a little bit of weather here. So, everything turned out pretty much like we expected. We had a Pineapple Express, and if you're just listening, we have an outline here. The things we're going to cover today. We had the Pineapple Express, atmospheric river, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about El Nino. We haven't talked about El Nino for a few weeks, so we'll have a little update on that. What's happening out in the Pacific, and if that is affecting our current weather pattern. It is, I think. My opinion. Cascade snow. What about skiing? Oh boy, we had a bunch, and it's mostly gone, but more is coming. Can we get the ski areas open? That's topic number 3. And the pattern ahead looks pretty mild and kind of dryish, at least for a while. What do we see there? That's topic 4. And then, of course, weather term of the week relates to this week's weather. So episode 80, we got to figure out in about 25 weeks what we're going to do for this big episode 100.
Oh boy.
I think we should have a cake or something.
Yeah.
Something
I have some
tasty.
ideas.
Do you mean 15
Oh.
weeks?
What was that?
Wouldn't 25 weeks take us to episode 105?
Well, we skip a few for Christmas and, somebody
Yeah.
gets sick or whatnot.
Gotcha. Okay, I see
I was
what you're
giving us
saying.
some leeway there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
so
it needs to be a big one. We should plug the viewers. and the listeners. We should say what suggestions do you have for the big episode
Ooh,
100?
I like that.
Get some
Let
ideas
us
from
know. Put it in the
Mhm.
comments. Well, how do we get comments to us?
Good point. We need to
Well-
figure out how to do more community engagement
Involvement.
within
Yes,
the
we do.
podcast. Yeah.
And actually, we have done this in the past, weather questions, because actually that's a great way we can answer some of your questions. So we'll figure it out. We'll let you know. But since it's every week, we'll get our act together for next week, let's say. Okay, hey,
Or the
take
week
a look at this.
after that.
We showed you this graphic last week on the podcast. This is the
Mhm.
GEM model, total precipitation ending Wednesday the 6th, which was yesterday. We were recording this, by the way, on the morning of December 7th, Thursday. And look at that rain forecast from the GEM for the next week. It did pretty well, didn't it?
It
Yeah.
did very well.
I mean, I've got the numbers coming up, but it said 3 to 5 inches in the valleys and maybe well over a foot in the mountains. That was one model. Here's the European.
A little lighter.
4 to 5
Which
inches in the valleys. Had the valleys
is-
correct.
Has
Up in
not
the mountains.
normal. Normally the European goes
Goes
Well-
wetter. Yeah.
Well, I think this is also it must be better terrain here. Well, you're right. The GEM was wetter in general. Look at Washington, way up there.
Yeah.
And the European was dry. But the point is, they had the idea correct, and they sure had the valleys right. Here, the total so far. Now, these might be a few hundredths off because I did this graphic yesterday evening. I didn't want to get up at 8 a.m. and make update graphics for a few hundredths of an inch between
Okay,
friends.
Mr. Lark.
Yep. Yeah, well, you know what? If I don't get to bed till 1 because of my job,
True.
I'm not going to
Fair.
get up early. But you're right.
Okay.
Yes, Katie.
So I was looking up because we have our monthly climatology slides for each of the area,
We do.
and the December one, because I started using it last weekend, didn't have the rain total for December, and most of the other ones would say what the average rainfall that we would get for the month. It had snow, but
Hey,
not
you're right.
rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
So
we didn't have pretty Christmas graphics, and we lost interest in that, I guess, once the Christmas graphics came out. I don't know why that's not on there. No idea.
I looked it up, and the number that I got.
That one?
So yeah, the 5 5.75. Okay, so that is not what I found when I looked it up. Okay,
What did you
that's
find?
what I was going to ask you. It was closer to 5.5.
Hmm.
And I thought
Oh.
it was like in NOAA or something like that.
Maybe
where
it was
we
an old.
usually-
Remember, they recalculated every 10 years. Maybe it was the one.
Maybe it
from
was an old
previous- so
number.
It goes up
Yeah.
and down. So
Mhm.
PDX officially, I'm about 200 or 300 off because this ended at midnight or ended yesterday evening. 5.54. So we've got about 5.5 inches of rain for the month. But as always, the mountains around us, they act as a scoop. They really lift that moisture up. Rising air cools and basically drops a bigger load of rain. And you can see in the Coast Range, Lee's Camp over a foot. Lee's Camp had 12.6 inches. And then almost always the wettest places up there around the southwest slopes of Mount St. Helens, up in Cowlitz and far northern Clark County, I guess more like Cowlitz County and Skamania County. And you see the 18 inches there, Cougar and Sheep Canyon. In fact, we had that video of a big road washout near Cougar. I see they've got a little workaround, one lane today. But 18 inches of rain. So, you go back to our models, and there were strong hints there was going to be a ton of rain in the mountains.
Mhm.
One last thing I should point out, Sheep Canyon is higher up, so some of that would have been in the form of snow. But Cougar, I'm sure that was all rain.
Yeah.
That's
wet
pretty
stuff.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
As of 4:42 this morning, the month-to-date rain was 5.55.
That's right. And we've only had a
Okay.
few hundredths today, so I think it might be
Mhm.
5.5.
So there you go. I just
So,
figured it.
yeah, we're within 0.2 of an inch of our monthly total. And you just see the daily run out of the precip there. And the two wettest days, Tuesday and Wednesday, 1.47, then a 1.68. Yeah, really wet stuff. And so
Mhm.
that gives us this beautiful Christmassy looking graphic. Does this not say holiday cheer?
Wow.
It says
Holly
holiday
jolly.
cheer.
Yeah, folks, if you're not watching the video version, which you can see, it's on our weather page, or I think, is it on YouTube? It's in a bunch of
Yes.
places.
It is on YouTube.
Go to our weather page. You can find it there too, but at kptv.com. But this shows the wettest first week of December. And as of right now, it looks like it's around 5.57, 5.59, somewhere in there. And the
Mhm.
wettest is 5.66 inches. That was in 1987. So we're right up, most likely by the end of today, we're recording this on the 7th, it'll be the wettest first week of December.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
In fact, a person would look at that and say, Mark, those things are out of order, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why is the top one right now, the 5.57, higher than the 5.66? Camila knows this, but you know what? I didn't want to have to redo the order of them today. So I just made it, assuming we get above the 5.66 today, and put that one on top. So when I walk in today, it's ready to go and I don't have to move them all down. A little weird, I know, but I just didn't want to have to do it twice.
Work smarter, not harder, folks.
That's right. So wettest first week of December. And how did some of those others turn out? Let's see, what years were those? 87 was the wettest, 2015, 1980, and 07. 2015 ended up being our wettest December. This is the first half. Wait a minute. What is this?
Is that for the whole month?
It is. Yes, right.
Oh.
I'm sorry. This is for the entire month. And the wettest December ever, 15.24 inches. So that was 2015. I think downtown had 18 inches of rain that month. Basically, this sort of pattern continued off and on through the whole month. That's what did that.
Was that an El Nino year? Do we know?
It sure was. It was the last strong El Nino. Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah.
1996, that was a wet year because we had the big flood in February that everybody remembers, but a lot of us forget. There was a lot of flooding in late November, very early December that year, and then the end of December of 96, I remember that one. We froze, big ice storm, East Metro, and then tons of rain, and that was a whole West Coast wide flood event from the Sierra, Nevada, all the way up into Washington, right around the New Year. Lots of flooding. I remember that was the year that water just came through the streets of Ashland on New Year's Day, I think.
That year, 96, my dad was the water superintendent for the city of Salem. And I just remember he was, was he busy that year. It was insane with what he had to take care of with all the water issues and water treatment and everything.
Big year.
It was a big year.
And then look at this beautiful graphic. So we covered the rain.
Oh, yeah. Katie, you were telling me about this graphic yesterday. You were excited about it.
I know. I was very excited. It was
Katie's idea, right? Was it your idea, then I helped implement, or I don't know. It was a team effort.
Well, I think I'm going to go with team effort because we were talking about the numbers and I said we should have. And then you said, hey, if you're not busy, make it. And I was like, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
I was busy, but I did it anyway.
We should describe what it is. You're seeing there are 12 bars. 12 bars, like graphic bars, not like we're heading to 12 bars. Okay, so 12 bars on the graphic. It goes from 0 to 120 degrees. Each bar represents a month, and each bar is spaced up and down for the warmest temperature, the extreme maximum temperature that month, and the extreme minimum. For example, the highest we've ever seen in January is 66. I remember that day. For the record, it was in 2006, I think.
Wow, that recall.
End of an atmospheric river, and then the sun came out. Yeah. Okay. So then the record low for that month at the bottom is -2. So for each month of the year, you see the record highest, record lowest. Of course, the hottest we've ever been was 116 during the June 2021 heat wave. The coldest we've ever had is -3 in February of 1950. So for this month, the number just changed. 27. So I was that night when the what was it? Was it Monday night? The temperature just kept going up with the southerly breeze with the Pineapple Express, and oh my gosh, we hit 65, which I got all excited and tweeted that out. It was we matched the highest December temperature we'd ever seen. Then it went to 66, and then live during the 11 p.m. newscast, it went to 67.
Wow.
Yeah. So
warmest December temperature ever.
Yep, warmest December temperature on record. And in fact, if we just look at the first 6 days of the month here, every day is above normal, of course, because we started pretty warm. 2 records in the yellow boxes there. Monday and Tuesday were record daily highs. And we had 4 days around 60 or beyond for highs. So this was an unusually warm atmospheric river. We call those Pineapple Expresses. And this one definitely lived up to the name, don't you think?
Well, and I'll pull some curtain back here and share something that I learned through this atmospheric river is when it shifted on us to the north a little, the northwest, and we had all of that warm air underneath it. I didn't know that it behaved that way. Like I knew we were, where we were sitting, but I had never experienced or read or heard that. And so it was interesting to think about we were getting the warm air because we were underneath it. And it was being pulled up. And so that was that day we reached 67, right?
Yeah, we got to stay on the south side of it. If we go to the north side of it, then, of course, you're into the cooler stuff.
Which
I just
just something I learned this week. It's kind of cool.
So look at those lows. Remember, we were at the end of November. What you're seeing here is in November. Oh, you know what? Wait.
Yeah, did you mean to drag in November?
No, it's not November. I didn't change the title. Folks, don't pay attention to the November wording. It's December. Sloppy work.
And
I hate that.
That's funny.
I hate that with a passion. No, it's not. It's sloppy work.
It's all right. Folks, just don't read. If you're watching this, just forget how to read momentarily. But the information in it is still good, Mark. The low temperatures.
Remember, we were coming out of that clear, cool stuff from Thanksgiving. Had a low on the 29th of November, a low of 27. That's our coldest this season so far. And then the lows come up into the 40s. Then we had 3 nights at 50 degrees or higher. You know what else?
Did any of those? We were supposed to check if those broke records.
I think 2 of those are.
To look.
And that's one other thing I forgot to do. I think it was the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah.
56 and 57. I'm pretty sure those are record warm lows for December. Yeah. That's really warm stuff there. Here's another way to look at it. I like this graphic. I don't use this on TV that much, but sometimes it's interesting, but it really sticks out. So this is, if you're not watching the video version, you're seeing a chart of the last 30 days in Portland. Each little bar is a day, and they go back in time from right to left. And the red line that kind of moves, gradually heads downhill, that's the average high, November 7th all the way to December 6th. The blue line is the average low at PDX from November 7th to December 6th. See how it gradually heads downhill?
Very
Actually, if you look
slowly,
closely too. Yeah, the other thing that happens is you can barely see it, but as we head into the cloudier and kind of stormier season, the highs and the lows come much closer together compared to the warm season. You can just barely see they get a little closer together there. But look at how, November progresses along. Yes, it was chilly at the end of November, 2 days at 40 degrees, and then bang, suddenly we have 2 or 3 days that were warmer in December that were warmer than any day in November, the 67 and the 64.
Yeah.
That shows you how out of whack it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was really strange, too, because it was also, Pineapple Express, we're getting all this rain. It's one of those things where, what do you wear? Because the second you wear a rain layer, you're dripping sweat in 2 seconds when it's in the 60s.
I switched out of my winter coat, so yeah, it was just too warm. All right, so that kind of wraps up our Pineapple Express and warm weather stuff. We see another atmospheric river coming up a bit. It'll be a much weaker version of one, but there's one coming up later Saturday and Sunday. And that day, it won't be quite as warm, but it will be warm enough. We're going to go back to some rain at the ski resorts, and we're going to get to that in subject number 3. But first, I want to do a quick update. El Nino. I don't know why I put these in this order, but you know what? We're going to follow the order. Okay, so we haven't talked about El Nino too much over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I don't think. But every week we get a new number for what's the Oceanic Nino Index, which is a measure of the warmth or the cooling compared to normal in the central tropical Pacific. And the monthly number just came out, September, October, November. And these are averaged over 3 months, and it's a 1.8. And just for comparison, a neutral year, and you're looking at a chart here of the last, what do we have, the last 12 years. Every 3-month period, which is recalculated every month. And notice we went into El Nino conditions back in May. That's the red. And now we're up to 1.8, which you'll notice that is the highest red number, warm number, that we have had since way back that winter, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
So we're now in, am I correct? Yeah, we're now in moderate to strong category. I think once it goes above a 1.5, once it goes above a 1.5, that's considered a strong El Nino. So we're in strong El Nino category, at least by this measure.
Yeah, and it's been strengthening. So interesting. So we might start to see some similarities with winter of 2015 potentially. I mean, you never know, but yeah.
Oh, and that's the one that we had that wettest December.
Right.
And it's also a year where we just had a lot of warm weather, a lot of warm storms. So basically, I would argue that we are seeing the effects of it now, most likely. Not just because we had one atmospheric river, but that we see this pattern continuing, this mild weather, not necessarily drier than normal, but mild and wet or mild and dry. I mean, those are the hallmarks of El Nino. And just we'll get into the snow talk here in just a second, but up in the Cascades. But, another hallmark is we just have warmer than normal storms, which is more challenging for the ski areas. And here's a model forecast. So you've got the anomaly there. 0 would be between 0.5 and minus 0.5 here. You can see my cursor. In there is like an average. That means there's neither La Nina or El Nino. Up above here is El Nino conditions. And yeah, we've gone above 1.5, which is into the strong category. 2.0 is historically strong. So far, we haven't made it there. We will see if we do. This is just a plume of different model predictions, and they all agree, we stay in El Nino through the winter. That's an easy call. But they also seem to all agree that things kind of crash. This El Nino may come to an end pretty quickly in the spring and early summer. So we'll see. So there's a decent chance this is not a multi-year El Nino. Remember, we just went through a 3-year La Nina.
Yeah.
So.
Which was not normal. I remember talking with you guys last year about that 3 in a row only happened like once, or it was a long time ago before that happened. A long time past when that happened.
I mean, it happens, but you're right. It's 1 or 2 years is more common. If I recall correctly, it's rare to have 2 back-to-back El Nino years, but I could be wrong. I'd have to look back there. But so that's your El Nino update. Most likely it is affecting our weather. In many El Nino years, but not all, we go into more stagnant weather once we hit beyond Christmas into January and February. Not all, but a lot of El Nino years in January and February, things really quiet down. I mean, not that it's been that stormy to start. Yeah, we had a bunch of rain, but in a lot of those years, we get more ridging as we head into January and February. Again, not all, but nothing right now says, wow, I can't believe we're seeing this in an El Nino winter,
Right.
I'm not saying that right now.
It's all tracking. It's all making sense.
Everything is proceeding according to plan.
Yeah.
All right.
Aww.
Well, there's Evil. Live view this morning.
Oh, very nice. Finally.
So
looking
a little bit of
again.
fresh snow. Yeah, we got a live view from the top. This is at 5,000 feet. It's freezing at government camp today. Actually, I thought it'd be a little colder, but it'll cool more as more showers come in. But you can see a little bit of fresh snow. Not much, though. I think Timberline has 3 inches of new. Ski-Bowl has maybe 1 inch. What's coming up? Well, there's good and bad news. This is our graph model from this morning. See, I did get up early. This morning's model. And what do you see there?
Some new snow heading to the Cascades.
I see a little yellow in there.
Yeah. So the blue, I always kind of aim for the yellow you can see right at the very tips of them. The volcanoes there. That'd be 20 inches high up. But I always, when I'm making snow forecasts, like for government camp, I always kind of go for this area just south where there's more of a saddle. That seems to work pretty well. So that's 6 to 10 inches maybe between now and Sunday morning. So there's some new snow coming, but it's not like, we didn't mention the snow we had just before the atmospheric river. We had up to 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet up in the mountains. I mean, that forecast turned out pretty well too, right? Because I remember we said early on 15 to 30 inches. So pretty close.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not going to happen this time, but we will get some fresh snow. Go ahead.
Did you check to see what the number was? We were talking about this. The other graphic that I made was what the snow depth was at 5,400 feet.
I will today because you had it ready to go for the 7th,
I'm going to look right here while we're talking live.
Okay.
So it says 20 inches.
Oh, so the depth is 20 inches?
It is right now.
That's strange that it says 20 inches because I thought that total has been running higher than what the ski resorts are saying, and it's at the lower part of Timberline. I've noticed that. Did you notice that with that? Just this time?
I think, didn't we say it got up to like 38?
It was 34 at the peak.
34, and then it dropped all the way down to 17, I think is the lowest.
So it halved, right?
With all the rain. Yeah.
Yesterday morning, it was at 17, and then it started picking back up to, it says this morning around 3 a.m. it hit 820.
And you're talking about snow depth at what, lower Timberline?
feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom of the Poochie lift, which is maybe 500 feet below the lodge.
So if you remember,
high.
Not yesterday, but the Wednesday before, I did the story about the snowpack right before the snow came in, and it was at 10 inches that Wednesday right before everything kicked in. So we were kind of watching to see how high did it go, and then with the rain, knowing it was coming behind it, how far did it drop? So it went from 10 to 34 to 17.
Yeah. Boy, that says El Nino right there. Gradually climbing, but it's a tough hill. It's like climbing up a sand dune where you go 2 feet up and then slide back 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
So this is a forecast I used last night. I quickly glanced this morning. I didn't see anything that looks different. This is a government camp temperature forecast, ski area snowfall forecast, snow level, how much snow we see. And we were saying 6 to 10 inches today through tonight, maybe another 1 to 3 tomorrow. So that gives you what, 9 to 15 maybe there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did just check. Timberline plans to open Saturday if they have enough snow, which
Okay.
seems like they're going to have enough for at least the Bruno lift and probably the Poochie again, but maybe that's all they can do. We will see.
Did they open on Sunday?
They did.
Okay.
Yes, actually, that's right. They tried to open Saturday when they had all that beautiful powder, but then it was too windy.
It was
Oh.
really gust. Like, I think there was a 72 mile per hour
Yeah.
gust up there. I saw that day.
And then on
Bummer.
Sunday, they opened, but it was pouring rain. So
Yeah.
I know there were people up there. My son, who these kids, they're on TikTok and everywhere. He goes, "Oh no, I saw videos. People were getting soaked up there and having fun."
Mhm.
So,
I will not.
Yeah.
I refuse to ski in the rain.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
Timberline
best.
has been open one day. Yeah, I don't ski in the rain either, by the way.
No.
Yeah.
Timberline was open one day. Meadows would like more snow. Meadows says they're hoping maybe, I think they're going to try on Saturday. If they can get a foot or foot and a half, I bet they will try to at least open, just a lift or so.
Well, that story that Carly did, they
Mhm.
said they want 2 days to groom everything once it falls.
Right. Well, yeah, so
So-
that could be a problem. Although they could groom tomorrow. If they get a big dumping today more than expected, I could see them trying to open. Ski Bowl's going to have trouble doing anything until we get more significant snow. So then we got that system coming in Saturday night, but pretty quickly after just a few inches of snow, it goes to rain again. I mean, that snow level's pretty high, up around 7,000 feet. And it looks like that rain may sit over us on Sunday.
Yeah.
So after that, then, it looks like next week, really nothing happens in the mountains. So 10 to 18 inches, and that's it. So that's what they have to work with, I think, between now and let's see, the 16th is Saturday, the 16th. I think that's all they have to work with through that time.
Yeah. Not great.
No. So that's a real challenge. I bet there'll be some sort of skiing this weekend in some form, a lift or two, the magic ballroom carpet or whatever they call it, the little Bruno lift.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is you could put skis on snow somewhere this weekend. And I know Bachelor's open or trying to open. Here's the
Yeah,
problem.
they were open. They had a great opening, and then it
Bachelor
just
did?
Yeah, they had
Okay.
an amazing opening. It was beautiful up there, and then they had to
And then-
close again.
Then we know what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. I think I got this animation to work. It's moving, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It's
All right,
open
so
for
what you're
us.
seeing here, this is the European from last night, the European model. I took the entire 15-day ensemble run. The red area, or the warm colors there, this is 500 millibar height, the line, so that's height at about the 500 millibar pressure surface up at around 18,000 feet is what it is typically, around there. And what you're seeing there is warmer than normal, higher than normal, through pretty much the whole period, the next 15 days. We're going through, all 15 days pretty quickly here. And just, if you focus on the Northwest, there's a lot of warm colors there. You don't see hardly any of the blue, right?
It
Right.
looks like something tries to drop down and then
Just kind
goes,
of dies.
"No."
Yeah.
Yeah, some troughing well offshore, but that builds up a ridge over the Rockies most of the time.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
very smoothed out because it's 51 members. The ensemble system is 51 members. So it's pretty smoothed out there. But that gives you the picture. And I think we can go here to the
Uh-huh.
GFS ensemble from last night, actually middle of the night, and this shows 24-hour precip. And that doesn't mean it's all dry with all that ridging around. That doesn't mean it's all dry. Although if we just take, this is all 30 members of the GFS ensemble system,
Mhm.
and 24-hour precip. So you see that surge over the weekend, right? Ending Sunday afternoon, kind of a lot
Yep.
of rain there. The average is about an inch of rain. So we're going to get maybe an inch of rain this weekend. And then it cuts off, and it looks like most of next work week, Monday through Friday, should be dry.
Yeah.
You don't see many members wet in here. But then we still have all this ridging out here. You just saw this entire period of 500 millibars. I mean, it ends, what's the end here? 21st. Yeah.
Oh.
So this I'm sorry, it goes all the way through the 22nd. And you see rain does return,
Mhm.
but I'm afraid we'll have more of those, kind of warmish, rainy periods again.
I'll be interested to watch, the map or the information that we look at that shows each model run and how it shifts. So you can see the earlier ones laid out with the later ones. I'll be interested to see what those look like by the time we get through the weekend.
Oh, you mean the not the multi-run. Multi-run, like 24-hour precip totals where you see how it shifts over time as we approach an event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Katie, what a geek. I would never do such a
I like
thing.
that one because that's something that I didn't have access to before I came here. And so just seeing how things change, just learning, how the models are moving and you just, there's so often we see something, 10 days out
Right.
and it continues to shift and shift and shift. And then eventually it gets to us. And so I just like
Right.
that stuff.
Yeah, I would say maybe a big message here is we're probably going to be warmer than normal most of the time over the next week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I know it's kind of a stretch out there, but week and a half, next 2 weeks, probably warmer than normal most of the time. Sure, if we get a gusty east wind and a cold pool develops east of the Cascades, that would bring us back to normal in the metro area at least. But warmer than normal and drier than normal at first, next week, but maybe a little wetter. We're going to get occasional weak, kind of warmish systems from time to time. Did I summarize that correctly?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
There's a snowfall GFS. This is this morning's run, just the operational run. This is 7-day snow beginning this Saturday morning. So this does not include the 6 to 10 or 6 to 12 inches we're expecting before this time. Look at that, a whole week from Saturday to Saturday. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. This is. Oh, good Lord. I'm sorry. This is ending. This is way out there. This is day.
Yeah, this is ending on the 23rd.
So what's 7 days before that? That would be, 15 days. Oh, this would be like the 8 to 15 day forecast.
Oh.
I'm sorry. So this is starting Saturday, the 16th. So we're skipping next week. Why did I do that? Wait. No, you know what? I've totally botched this entire little segment. Wait, no, it says 7-day snow. You know what I meant to do was to show snow from this Saturday on.
Welcome to Mark Nelson's brain, everybody. It's a real good look right here.
No. This is 7-day snow. It clearly says that, which means it's the snow ending Saturday the 23rd. So, okay, my second out of 5 analyses is correct. One of those 5 things I just said is correct, and that would be that this is snowfall in the 7-day period, basically the end of week 1 to the end of week 2.
So the 16th to the 23rd, right?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. The point is, it shows little or no snow in the Cascades even the week after. So I guess a lot of that precip you're seeing in these samples would fall in the form of rain up there.
Yeah. So blue. So I'm seeing, a lot of blue, which is up to 6 inches basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty pathetic. Yeah.
In a week.
Yeah.
And yet you see it up north where it's a little colder, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know what? We're moving to the next graphic because that disturbed me so much. Let me back up a second. Katie got excited. Let me find the.
It's another graphic I made.
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah. Okay, we covered it all. Weather term of the week.
No. Oh, that's it?
It's time. It's time for the weather term of the week, folks.
Oh, yeah, because it's related to flooding.
Okay, flood stage. That is the term of the week. Flood stage.
Flood stage.
I'm going to read the official from the National Weather Service high water level terminology. Okay. An established gauge height for a given location above which a rise in water surface level begins to create a hazard to lives, property, or commerce. The issuance of flood advisories or warnings is linked to flood stage, not necessarily the same as bank full stage. So flood stage is defined for each river. They're going to be different levels. They use different datum. All right. So each river is going to have a different level, different flood stage. And Katie, you want to take this one because you actually made this graphic yesterday.
I did. I talked a lot about flood stage and rivers and where they were at. So what we're looking at here is for the Grays River, which this was a fun learning experience for me because we didn't really look at flood levels at my previous station.
And where is the Grays River?
That's the one.
Some people may have no idea.
Is up in Washington, right? Wilson's the other one we were looking at that's in Oregon. So this one's up in Washington. And it's the only one that I found. And I didn't look at every single river or every single stream because they don't have that data for all of them. But this is the only one that I found that touched major.
Right.
For this event that we just had. Everybody else was in action, which means like take action or minor. But what caught me, and I really enjoyed looking at all of them, is how quickly they crested and then they dropped out. It was a very brief it wasn't long period of flooding. It was just that height of the rainfall, and then it receded back very quickly, almost as quickly as it ramped up.
It's a relatively small river, and I've noticed all the coastal rivers rise quickly and they drop quickly. It's always been that way. I don't think I've ever seen a coastal river like be at flood stage for 4 days. It's usually quick up, quick down, that we get these kind of they're called flashy rivers, right? And this one was interesting. Go ahead.
I would say the other thing about this one, I know that, for those that are watching, you see the record there set at 16.5 feet. Just want to mention, Mark and I were looking, the record started in 2006. And that record was 2007. So it didn't go back too far, but we sure came close to breaking that record yesterday.
Yeah, I wondered about that. When you said it's like near the record, I'm thinking, what about the flood in 64 or 96? And it looks like maybe they didn't have a gauge, or at least they don't have records from before, a little less than 20 years.
And then, so related to the term flood stage, what is the group that actually sets, all these different stages?
That is a good question. There are different river forecast centers across the USA. Portland Weather Service office is co-located in the same building with the Northwest River Forecast Center. They cover Oregon, Washington, and I think Idaho. Maybe they cover another state or two. But they handle all that. That would be a great podcast interview, in fact.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody from there. Either they set it or the USGS sets those levels. I would assume. I think it's one of those two.
Well, if you want to talk to someone at the USGS, I have a nice connection.
That's right, you do. Yeah. I was thinking that they do change over time. Where I grew up in Chehalis, which is notorious for flooding on the Chehalis River and the Newaukum River, they come together right there. And I remember the big flood stage there was always like 68 or 70 feet. And when I've looked at it recently, they use different numbers. Now it's like the flood stage is 186 or 190 feet. My guess is they've made it more, my guess is that's the elevation. So sometimes they'll change the datum. And so then you have to do kind of conversions from past levels.
Yeah.
We had flooding.
Yeah.
What did we have? At most, we had 8 rivers that had flood warnings total, maybe within our viewing area.
Yeah.
Maybe there were 6 along the coast, 2 within our viewing area, the Cowlitz and the Lucky Butte. But those are all pretty minor, except for this one. So it was pretty. When we look back, we'll be like, yeah, there was some minor flooding, but this was not a huge, widespread flood event. I think because the rain was spread out over many days, and we just didn't have that much rain. I mean, 5 inches of rain in a week in Portland is a lot, but we had just come off a dry spell too. All these rivers were like at the bottom.
Pretty low, yeah.
Really low to start. So that's your weather term of the week. Any other thoughts on that, or sleeping, or larks, or night owls?
No. Yeah, it was just very wet and mild. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of December shakes out.
Yeah, we'll see. Looks like a little drier for a while, a little warm, little mild stuff. I've got to get my camera farther back because my head is enormous. I know I have a bulb-shaped head that's kind of big. My poor mother, 54 years ago. But I think my camera's too close. I need to get a little farther away.
That big, 54 years.
At least your artwork in the background is less startling than mine.
Yeah, that's disturbing. I have pretty trees.
For folks wondering, I found this painting. I'm going to try to tilt my camera. At an antique store, and I thought it looked like our 2 dogs, so I got it for my husband as a gift. It does
kind of look like it.
Right? In like an abstract
the one does,
way.
But the other doesn't, to me. Like, when I'm looking at the darker one, that makes me think of your dog. The other one looks like an upside-down skull.
I loved it so much. It's so weird.
It's awesome.
And I did... If you're like me and you're distracted like a squirrel when you're watching things, I did notice on that picture back behind me, you occasionally see little like laser dots moving by. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see one.
What is that?
It's my laser lights outside. We point them at the house, and they take a long time to turn off in the morning. I'm probably spending 50 cents of electricity every morning because those aren't turning off when they're supposed to.
Oh, it's like one of the Christmas projectors?
Yeah, it's a projector that points at the house.
It's for decoration. I was like, what are you doing? Like sniping squirrels to try to get on your house or something?
No.
He's just protecting his chickens.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, those are the little dots behind me. You're not imagining those dots.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Remember, we do play the video. If you're listening to this in your car, like I do, we play the video version every every Friday, weekdays, every Friday, 2 p.m. on Fox 12 Now. You have to have our app for that, or I think 2 p.m.
He has it at
Plays
2.
at 2.
Oh, I was on. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Because he's always trying. Greg, God bless Greg, he's great. He's always trying to get me to come on at 2 p.m. And I said, well, that's when I'm driving right during that time on my way to work. So I could do it at 1 from home, or I could do it at 3 from work, but not at 2.
Yeah,
so anyway,
right
that's 2 p.m. the video version there, or you can find it online as well. But thanks for joining us. Thanks, Katie Zuniga. Thank you. And Camila Ortiz. And we will see you again. We'll do it once again next week, most likely on Thursday or Friday as we head a little deeper into December.
Weatherman, we can't allow any further delay. So stop your waiting and hesitating.